Hello, welcome. I am joined by Vlad, who is here to discuss treatment in Portugal, why IVF abroad might be the answer, and where we're looking for people to help book in for 2024. Mentioned it's so accessible. So, for example, being able to get flights that are affordable and lots of options, and not long to travel, makes Portugal a really desirable location. And it would be interesting to know, the benefits that Portugal offers, as we know, over and above some other countries in Europe.
The first benefit that Portugal offers is, I think, the most important, which is great quality of care in terms of the quality of the treatment and the availability of procedures, techniques, and so on. So in terms of technology availability, we have all it counts. So all of that. So in terms of quality of care, we are absolutely, I would say, in the top front. And then we have two other advantages. One of them is the price, which is cheaper than most of other IVF destinations. And then I would say in terms of value for money, definitely it's a competitive advantage on our side. And then we have the law, which is also very favorable. If you need a treatment with donation in Portugal, donors are open ID, and this means that at the age of 18, any child conceived by donation, either sperm donation, egg donation, or embryo donation, can have access to the identity of their donors. We can share detailed profiles of our donors, even in terms, for example, a lot of patients are concerned about the ethics, for example, of egg donation. In Portugal, an egg donor can donate 4 times in her lifetime. She receives 1,019 euros. This is regulated by law. We can only pay by bank transfer. The donor needs to sign a receipt, and it's the same value for all public and private clinics. Control. So if a donor comes here to donate, and she has already donated 4 times elsewhere, I will not be allowed to get a donation code. So it's not authorized to do the treatment. So that being said, in Portugal, we have this legal framework of huge transparency towards the rights of the children, the rights of the donors, the rights of the patients, and everything is very crystal clear. And I think patients, especially, for example, we work a lot with patients from northern countries, Central Europe, and so on. Typically, from their culture, this is something that they value. Always, one of the reasons they come to us is because, first of all, they can get information on the donors. They have access to our detailed profiles, but then they like the transparency and the ethics, the overall ethics of the system.
I think it's really interesting also what you said about having more choice when it comes to donors. As a mother of sperm donor conceived children, that was one of the biggest things for us, and we selected someone who was an open donor. And of course, there are other countries in Europe where you don't have that kind of advantage of being able to go down the open donor route. And of course, you must do that in the UK. However, we know there's a shortage of donors in the UK. So being able to have a larger pool to select from is a positive thing.
Yeah, it is. It is. Here, we really don't have problems. For example, even this week, one of our clinics was complaining, kind of, because they were having too many donor candidates, and it was being difficult to schedule all of them because obviously the agendas were full, and the donors also wanted to donate because after the summer break, everyone wanted to donate at the same time. Sometimes I talk to patients, and for example, the other day when a patient of ours was telling me, well, can I, and I was talking to her and said, well, I actually think that we have the perfect donor for you, because I was thinking about a very specific donor that really looked like the patient. We were discussing an egg donor at the time, and I said, well, I know that we're going to have this donor that really looks like you, and it's I will send you her profile and you can have a look and so on. And then the patient said, well, but please send me 2 profiles. And I was like, oh, okay, but typically we send 1 by 1. If you don't like, we send you another one and so on, because every time we send a profile, that donor is blocked for you and no one else, because obviously we have several doctors asking for donors, and the patient said, yeah, but I need to feel that I was able to choose. And I
Yeah,
said,
exactly. I get that.
and then here the patient ended up selecting the donor that we were suggesting in the first place.
Yeah.
It's important for her to see that, well, first of all, to see the contrast, and we really did our best to have 2 options. But this, it's the emotional part associated, because obviously someone else is choosing a very important thing, is making a very important decision on your behalf, and you don't control all the parameters.
What about the treatment abroad? What about the process?
So it depends obviously on the type of treatment. Most people go abroad, they go to another country because they need some type of donation. Okay, and whether it is sperm or egg donation, the procedure is different. If you're a single lady or a lesbian couple or an heterosexual couple with a severe male factor and you just need sperm donation, for example, you can, and if you have the support of your local doctor in your country of origin, for example, say in the UK, you can even start the stimulation in your own country, do all the necessary bloods and scans and pap smears and everything before you start. You send us the result, we will validate it, we will define the dosage, and then we will do the process together with your attending physician. We have patient care assistants that are always in touch with the patient. These are the bridge, the point of contact with the clinic, and they do the bridge between the patient and the doctor. It's a system that works, and so you can start in the UK, for instance. You will obviously select the donor before you start. We have our own sperm bank, but we can also work with external sperm banks. Typically, we work with sperm banks in Denmark, such as Cryos, European Sperm Bank, or Born, or the Fairfax Sperm Bank. They can start the treatment in their country of origin. Then they will send us the result whenever we think it's the right moment for that person to travel. She can travel to Portugal, and in the cases where we feel more comfortable, when we have a good support from a local doctor, patients could even arrive in Portugal on the day before the aspiration. If we need to do some control before that, we will advise them to come to around day 9 or day 10th of the stimulation, so we can do a check. And because the most likely day for the oocyte pickup is on day 12, day 13, and so we collect the eggs, we have the donor here, we fertilize the eggs, and then we culture the embryos until day 5. Then obviously there are 2 options. If we are doing preimplantation genetic testing, you can travel home after the aspiration, because we will need 5 days to grow the embryos until the blastocyst stage. Then we do the embryo biopsy, we collect the cells, we freeze, we vitrify, we freeze the embryo, we wait for the genetics test to arrive, which takes approximately 3 weeks, and then we have the result. If the embryos are, 1 or more embryos are viable, we can then start the preparation, and then you will only come to Portugal on the day before the embryo transfer. We don't know how the ovaries are going to react, and how long will the endometrium take to reach 8 millimeters of thickness. So there are a lot of parameters that we need to control, but typically 2 trips to Portugal in those treatments is the most common. If you're doing, for example, egg donation, it's a little bit the same. Normally, we ask the male partner to come first to freeze his sperm. Then the sperm is secured, is in our tanks. We wait for the aspiration of the egg donor. We fertilize her eggs. We create the embryos. We freeze the embryos on day 5. And then the recipient, the female patient, starts the preparation. There are variants to all of this. depending on the protocol. Sometimes we use longer protocols, shorter protocols, natural cycle, modified natural cycle. So there are lots and lots of things that can change. Some men, their sperm does not have enough quality to be frozen. In those cases, we use fresh sperm. We can also use frozen eggs from the donor. So there is a world of possibilities for us to optimize.
I had a question come in, which I'd love to ask you. What is the upper age limit for egg donation?
So for the person who is receiving the embryo is the age of 50. So 49 years and 364 days. For an egg donor is 34. Okay, so egg donors must be between 18 and 34. Egg recipients can be up to the age of 50. We always disclose the age of the egg donor before the treatment. So if you're not comfortable with the age of our suggested donor, we can find you another one, okay? You won't move on with treatment unless you are completely comfortable.
Fantastic. And do your clinics have access to egg donors from a Black Caribbean background?
We have to remind ourselves that Portugal was the first country of the globalization. So we have a mixed population from 500 years ago, and our last African colonies left the Portuguese state in 1975. So we have a huge community of people from Angola, Cape Verde, Mozambique, São Tomé and Prince, Guinea. And they are they speak Portuguese, and it's the relationship is very close.
Why is becoming such a popular destination?
More and more people are looking for Portugal as an IVF destination. There is a lot of other groups, international groups, are opening clinics in Portugal exactly for that reason, and it's the attractiveness of the Portuguese law, the fact, the more affordable prices in terms of value for money, obviously, and obviously the word of mouth, because we're having more and more patients. They're getting pregnant. They're telling their friends about it, and so this is how this generates.
Wonderful. Could you tell us a little bit about each of the clinics, please?
Of course. So starting from south to north, so AVA, our Lisbon clinic, was founded in 1999. It was one of the first private IVF clinics in Portugal. AVA joined our group last year in 2023. It is located in the center of Lisbon. It's a very nice clinic with an experienced staff. Most of the people are there from its foundation. Obviously, we also have some new doctors and embryologists who have joined the team in the meantime. So it will be our biggest project of growth, because it's a clinic that is nowadays it is essentially focused on national patients or expats living in Portugal, and it's based in the center of Lisbon. Then we have Coimbra. Ferticentro is the biggest clinic in our group. It's 1 hour away from the Porto airport, 2 hours away from the Lisbon airport. It is the most international of our clinics. 80% of our activity is with international patients. We have almost 60 persons working there, a staff that speaks 7 different languages, and it's a big clinic. Okay, it's a clinic where everything is very optimized. It was founded in 2002, and it's maybe the clinic with more experience handling international patients. Then we have Procriar, our Porto clinic. Porto is in the north of Portugal. It's it's the second biggest city in the country after Lisbon. Coimbra is the third. In Porto, there are plenty of flights direct flights to many destinations in Europe. Procriar is a really boutique clinic. It was founded in 2019, so it's the newest of our clinics. Nowadays, we have a staff of around 30 persons, 1,000 square meters. We've doubled the area. It's a clinic that is growing a lot. It's probably the clinic where we have more donors. Nowadays, more or less 80% of the patients are Portuguese, 20% are international, but we are growing in both nationals and internationals. And it's a very equipped clinic because it's more recent, it's new, but the three of them share that characteristic. So I would say, in terms of size, Ferticentro is the biggest. Then we have Procriar, then AVA. We hope in 2 or 3 years to be at the same size at the 3 locations. But the quality of care is, I would say, the same. I couldn't say anything else, but it really is the same.
And someone has just asked to give an example of egg donation IVF cycle costs, and do you offer embryo guarantee programs?
Okay, so egg donation IVF cycle costs and embryo guarantee programs, actually those topics are linked because we offer different types of guarantees and they come at different prices. I would say, so our standard program is an egg donation cycle where we guarantee at least 2 blastocysts. According to the Portuguese legislation, all of the embryos obtained belong to the patients, even if it is a double donation. Okay, so if I have, for example, just 1 embryo, so we transfer that embryo and then we go, and that patient is entitled to as many cycles as necessary to achieve the agreed number of blastocysts. So, for example, if while trying to get the second blastocyst, I get another 5, then the 6 embryos belong to the patient. The cost of this, 7,500 euros to 7,800, depending on the clinic. Then we have guarantees of 2 blastocysts, 3 blastocysts, which is 1,000 euros more expensive, and 5 blastocysts that, well, I don't know the costs by heart, but it's like 11,500 or 11,800 or something like that. It's always cheaper to have the 5 blastocysts guaranteed than to try twice. So typically what I tell patients is this: it will depend on your personal plan. If you want just to have a kid and then decide what to do next, I would say the most basic, the 2 blastocysts or the 3 blastocyst guarantees are good options. And then we have the baby at home guarantees. How does that work? Patients need to qualify for that. We're not too demanding on their characteristics, but they are entitled to 3 attempts with 3 different egg donors and all the frozen cycles associated. And if after all of that patients don't have a baby, it's not just a pregnancy, it's a baby at home guarantee. If they don't have a baby, they can get all their money back. So they receive 100% of their investment back, and they can try again, either with us or elsewhere. The money goes back to their account. So it's this one costs, again, I'm not 100% sure, but it's 7,500 or 18,000 euros. It's around those lines. So this is only possible because obviously we have a very good cumulative pregnancy rate across the clinics. So it's all related with personal wishes, the type of risk, your previous experience. It's obviously your economical resources, but we always try to assess each patient's particular situation and counsel them accordingly.
Great advice. Thank you so much for all of your insights and expertise. So please, I encourage people to take the next step in calling, emailing, or getting in touch with each of or any of the 3 clinics in Portugal to find out more. And thank you so much for those who have joined live today, and for those who are watching back. Any questions, please don't hesitate to ask the team. They are all delighted to help you. And we did have questions sent in advance. We've covered a lot of them. So anything additional, please do get in touch with the team, and they will happily answer you. So thank you very much for your time today. And
Thank you.
always a pleasure. All right.
Okay, thank you. And I wish all the luck in the world to the people that were watching us. And like Louise said, if you have other questions, I'm very happy to talk to you directly. It's a genuine pleasure for me to be able to share and discuss, even informally, your particular situation. So very happy. I think Louise will share our contact details. Okay. Thank you so much, and
Okay.
time.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Vlad. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.